everybody, this is Rob and Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby. I've got the Aries Ethos FPV quadcopter and the Aries Ethos HD quadcopter in front of us. It's kind of a little different format that we're doing here.
Two products in one.
Two products in one. Two products. We've got two airframes that are identical. They're both the same airframe. One is the FPV version. The other one is the HD fixed camera, or the HD camera. So we're going to kind of combine them just because the airframes fly identical, but we will tell you the differences between the two technologies of both.
Absolutely.
So Kurt, why don't you get into some specs so we can start this whole confusing
Well, we're going to be similar all the way down to the last few items here. So between the similar specs for the Aries Ethos FPV and the Aries Ethos HD. Length including rotors is 18.75 inches. Height is 5 inches. Rotor diameter is 7.75 inches for each rotor. Weight with battery, 11 ounces. That's actually the same specs on both of them. Motor is a 350 brush motor with ball bearing on the prop shaft. Battery 2S 7.4 volt 1200 milliamp 25C LiPo. Charger is a 2S LiPo 600 milliamp AC charger, so it has an AC adapter. Transmitter is 2.4 gig 4-channel flight function, 2 channels for camera operation. Onboard electronics are 5-in-1 control board, and then both include a micro SD card, 4 gig. Those were rated C4 for data transmission speed. Now we get into the differences. For the Aries Ethos FPV, it includes an FPV screen, 4.5-inch color TFT LCD with anti-glare shield. The photo resolution for the FPV version is 1600 by 1200, and that's JPEG. The AVI video resolution is 1280 by 720. Now we switch over to the Aries Ethos HD. Photo resolution is 2592 by 1944 JPEG format, which is quite a bit bigger than the FPV. The AVI video resolution is true 1080p at 30 frames per second. That's also switchable into a 720p, 1280 by 720 pixels at 60 frames per second. So depending on what your application is, you may want the extra frame rate so you can do some slow-mo action. And then of course that camera as well supports up to a 32 gig SD card. Price for the FPV version is $299.99. Price for the HD version is $199.99. Now both of these will accept the optional accessories, which we saw with the, I think it was a 130 size Ethos. And that was the rocket launcher, the water blaster, the bubble machine, and the winch unit, which is kind of fun. It's the same exact mount on the bottom of the suspension mount that's unique to these. But you can pop those in, and we still have all those plugs on the top for the accessories. You just pop them into the board and follow those instructions, and you can add some different features onto your either one of the Ethos that you choose.
Correct.
So just to kind of sum it up, to give you an idea of what we talked about too, your transmitters are the same between the two models. They both come with your 2100 milliamp 2S battery. That's the same. There is a unique charge adapter for the FPV version, and that charges up the battery inside of the FPV display. We do have that anti-glare shield. When you pop that up, you have two little flips that there are sides that flop out. And as you can notice, we don't have anything on the image, but it's very bright. So we do have a really bright screen, just says no signal right now. And this attaches to the top of the transmitter. Since the transmitter is the same, there's a little trap door right here at the top. All you do is push it down inside the trap door, and it locks the unit on, and now you can fly with the touch screen, or the not touch screen, but the view screen for the FPV. So it looks a little different when it's finished, but that does have its own battery on board. You need to charge that up fully, a USB adapter. Additionally, this does have the camera that runs off of the main battery for the FPV. You plug that in, and what you're going to want to make sure, it even says in the directions, but if you're kind of in a hurry and you want to put it all together and hit the power, make sure you have the antenna mounted, because the antennas are separate when you get the unit. Make sure the antenna is mounted to the FPV unit before you power it on, or it could cause damage to the FPV transmitter. So that's the unique stuff to the FPV. The HD, if you can hand me that, Rob.
Yes, sir.
Actually has a camera. It has a 2-mode switch on the side, 720p or 1080p resolutions. And like I said, this is that same mounting configuration. You can unplug it from the actual quadcopter, pop it off its mounting bracket. There we go. And use it as a standalone camera. It does have a power, a record, and a photo button on it. Now, of course, when it's mounted to the quad, you don't have to power it up. It automatically powers up when you plug in the system. And the controls for starting the recording, stopping the recording, and also taking still pictures all go through the transmitter then. So the FPV does use the balance port on the battery to power the FPV unit. And then there's also main lead. So 2 connections on the FPV, which is a little different. Other than that, the transmitters are the same. You use your multifunction buttons down here, B in both cases, and on the left, right side of the pad. Turns the navigation lights off and on, so you can enable or disable those. And then it's going to be camera, record, start and stop, and also when you push the C button, the lower portion of the quad, that's going to take still pictures on both of them. So that's kind of neat between the two. When we switched between one to the other, it was the same. We didn't have different button mapping. They both have auto flip to them as well, and that's located in the same location, as well as your dual rates, so you can hit your high and low rates up on the upper right side of the transmitter.
All right,
so
just to reiterate real quick, so I understand, maybe I never asked this question, but the FPV also has the camera that you can take film and photographs
Yeah,
with.
it's going to record as well. You've got a small SD card that pops in the very back here.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to find when I first pull it out of the box. It ships with the 4 gig micro SD. It includes, both kits do include a USB adapter for that. Actually, there's the micro SD inside there, so you can plug it into the computer and access your video files. But it does have one on board, as well as the HD version has one as well. So, and I said up to 32 gigs, so you can do a lot of video content. A little less, of course. It's 1080p resolution. That's a lot higher resolution, but pretty flexible. But yeah, both platforms otherwise are identical. From that point forward, that bottom module up, they're identical. Have a nice shock mount suspension for the camera, which eliminates vibration, and that seems to work quite well on both of them. So otherwise, they're the same. So let's take a look at some flight footage. Rob, you flew.
I did. I flew.
This is a unique opportunity, folks. You get to hear Rob's take on a quadcopter, which is... Aries at this point is probably going, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. There's just like Kurt fly.
Don't have Rob
he makes a
about
good Ed McMahon.
Rob
just let him do it.
We don't make kits. Why is Rob on film? We don't have stick and tissue.
Just let him sit there and go, herp, 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 herp.
Check out the flight footage and make sure you come back for part 2 for the review scoring.